Over the past few weeks, I know that many Americans have felt profound sorrow and even pain watching the events taking place in Afghanistan, and perhaps none more so than the veterans of that 20-year war. Every American who served in Afghanistan has made tremendous sacrifices for our country. On behalf of your fellow citizens, I want you to know that those sacrifices were not made in vain. We know what you did, we know how brave you were, and we thank you, we salute you, and we honor you for all time.
Welcome back. That was the 45th president of these United States, Donald J. Trump, describing the emotions many Americans are feeling watching the devastation in Kabul unfold after 20 years of war and sacrifice. In service of this war, we welcomed home more than 20,000 wounded warriors from the sands of Afghanistan. We have buried more than 2,400 American patriots, and this week, we added 13 more of the best and brightest America had to offer to the list of heroes who perished far too soon in service to this nation in the name of this 20-year conflict. Our next guest knows the pain of that loss and the gravity of that sacrifice all too well. Jenny Taylor's husband, Major Brent Taylor, was killed in the country on November 3rd of 2018. She later became a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, and she joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, again, you remain in our hearts and our prayers. Your husband, Major Brent Taylor, was part of the U.S. Army unit training Afghan commandos when an insider attack claimed his life, injured another American soldier. Take us through that day, how you heard, and how you and so many other families have had to cope with tragic days like that.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing like getting a knock on the door when you have a loved one deployed in uniform. And everyone, whether you're in the military or not, you've seen a movie, you know they don't knock on the door on a Saturday just to say hi. It was first thing that morning, Saturday, November 3rd. I actually was not home. My children were home with their grandmother, my mother. My 8-year-old son answered the door, wondering why in the world these soldiers were standing in uniform. The officers then called me, but of course protocol requires them to find me face to face. So there was about an hour between the time I got the phone call saying we need to tell you something, and when we met face to face and they told me the thing that no military spouse or family member ever wants to hear. And that's that my husband had been killed that morning. And you just think in that moment, it feels as if the world has stopped turning. You feel as the devastation, the crushing blow. How will I tell my children this? And now I think this week we've lost 13 in a moment. The one death of my husband that day felt like too much to bear. My heart is aching for these new families, the friends, the loved ones, the high school buddies of each of these men and women killed this week. It is heartbreaking. It truly is.
It's really ultimately just so shocking. I mean, you talk about your husband who was there in Afghanistan helping to train those individuals to ensure that days like the ones we had this week didn't happen. Talk to us a little bit about how you see this as a widow, a family that's made that sacrifice, and also, again, just the unseen issues that other families have to deal with, because to your point, even in your particular story, just knowing that something clearly was not right, and also the time that went between you actually being able to receive that devastating news, I think it's a story that many people just don't fully appreciate.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I've often said it's like I have a backstage pass to what the price of freedom really costs in this country. Most people have seen a movie, or maybe they've heard of what Dover Air Base is. I've been there in the middle of the night with my 2 young sons and my in-laws, watching a flag-draped casket cross from an aircraft carrier to a military hearse. There are not words to describe that anguish. But at the same time, I will tell you, my husband died proud to serve this country, proud to stand up for the men and women in Afghanistan, for freedom, liberty, and justice for all around the world. And I would die right next to his side every day for those principles if I had to. I will tell you, you will never convince me that my husband and the others who have given their lives have done so in vain. But I do worry that everything that's happening right now is making their sacrifice feel lost. Again, there's a very big difference. It's not at all a waste. It's not in vain. But are we losing sight of it? Are we losing sight of those great sacrifices? I would say that for us, the living, those who have survived this, we have got to decide how we are going to make sure their sacrifices are worth it. We have to make sure we're doing our part to remember them, to honor them, and to live the kind of lives that would bring honor to them. But it is truly devastating to see the way things have unfolded over the last couple of weeks. I feel like each day it feels as horrible as it could possibly be, and then the next headline comes and it feels even worse.
I think you've hit the nail spot on the head that people have lost perspective of the true cost of their peaceful night of sleep. And it's really, astounding to see what we choose to do with our rage and our grief. I know to you, your testimony, what you were able to do in the aftermath of that, serving as Secretary of the Army, getting insight into the bureaucracy that goes behind the human sacrifice and the human commitment required to keep Americans safe. If there's anything you had to say to Americans who feel as if they've been inundated with this notion that we should have left so long ago, that everything was a waste in the aftermath of an Olympics where we've seen people almost ashamed to be an American, in the aftermath of a nation that was always proud to be an American, proud to be the beacon of freedom that was revered around the world. What do you have to say at this juncture where we are today?
I will say we cannot afford to let that pride die, to let not just the pride in being American, but pride in freedom, pride in liberty, pride in that justice for all. We have to stand up. We have to come together as a country. We've got to open our eyes. Everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks is tragic, and it has grabbed our attentions and hit us in the gut and broken our hearts. But do you know what? Men and women go to war every day around this world, whether they're in a combat zone or just keeping peace wherever they might be. Every one of them, when they put that uniform on in the morning, they are saying without words, "I will die for you today." They say that every day they go to work. The question for us now is, will we live to honor them today? It is so easy to just worry about politics or to worry about the things we get so caught up in as American citizens. We have no idea how good we have it. We are not a perfect country. I get that. None of us are perfect people, but we strive every day to be a more perfect union, to take those principles and share them around the world. You find me another country that does that. We have men and women in our country who are willing to die trying to share those principles, and there are men and women around the world who are willing to die trying to come here. If that doesn't make you proud of the American principles and that way of life, then I would say we need to stop pointing fingers outward and start answering pointed questions of ourselves. What's our role in paying the price of freedom? And if you think that price is too high, ask yourself, what would happen if that price were not to be paid?
Absolutely. Again, there is a price that be paid. Just because somebody doesn't send you the bill doesn't mean that it's free. There are people every single day who've paid that price on your behalf, your family being one of them. Jenny Taylor, we appreciate you. God bless you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for including me in this conversation.
Absolutely. Again, we appreciate Jenny for joining us.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.